Parliament's finance cluster says the postponement of the tabling of the budget last month means that they'll work under extreme pressure in processing the upcoming budget due to limited time. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is expected to table the delayed budget on Wednesday. It was postponed after disagreements in the cabinet to increase the VAT from 15% to 17% that was proposed. SABC News reporter Lulama Matya joins us now for more on the story. Good afternoon, Lulama. So you covered the briefing by the finance cluster on the rigorous oversight role that they play. Just talk us through some of the key aspects of that briefing.
Good afternoon, Fundo and SABC viewers, and welcome to Parliament. The meeting was attended by the chairpersons from the National Assembly Committee as well as the NCOP Committee. Remember, Fundo, after the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, tables the budget in Parliament, it is going through another process by various committees of Parliament before it is approved, because the Minister tables a proposal, but it is up to Parliament to approve that proposal that the Minister has tabled. And as you have said in the intro, these committees have expressed disappointment that the budget was delayed, saying that that is putting pressure on them to process that legislation before it is ultimately approved. Well, they are saying that indications are that now the budget that is going to be tabled on Wednesday, after much processing by Parliament, which involves public hearings, will be approved around in July. So what they are saying is that Mfundo, for instance, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Finance, Dr. Joe Maswanganyi, was saying that he hopes that it will be the last time that Cabinet has done something like this, because now they are creating a problem for Parliament, because they will need to work under pressure to rush and meet the deadline. Because he's saying that if, for instance, Parliament will fail to approve the budget at the required time, that will cause a constitutional crisis. It will mean that government can just close down. There will be no government because there will be no money to pay for the services that government delivers. The chairperson of SCOPA, Songezo Zibi, was saying that considering that there's a talk about VAT increase, initially it was from 15 to 17%, but now there are talks about revised VAT hike. He's saying that government needs to prioritize, to reprioritize, because there is money that they can use to fund the shortfall that they need. He's talking about government leasing buildings, paying billions of rands towards that lease. He's saying that government departments even pay more than what the private sector pays for these leases. For instance, Mfundo, we know that the National Student Fund was here in Cape Town renting a building that is overlooking the ocean for 2.5 million rand. We've heard that that lease is going to be cancelled, but it has yet to be cancelled. So this chairperson of SCOPA was talking along those lines that government should cut costs on the leasing that it is doing, because it is so expensive. They end up paying billions of rands, even more percent, about 40% more than what the private sector is paying. The chairperson of appropriations, Musi Maimane, was also part of the briefing for the appropriations, because they are the final approver of the budget. He was saying that the budget that the minister is going to table on Wednesday should look into various cases, including growth, because we know, Fundo, that currently the debt is the fastest growing cause, which is crowding even social money that should go to social services. My money is saying that government, when minister tables that budget on Wednesday, he should strike a balance between the debt that the government is paying and the budget. So he must go towards reducing borrowing, because those borrowing at the end of the day, it's costing the government a lot of money. So those are the sentiments that were expressed by Parliament as they are preparing for that process. After the minister has tabled the budget on Wednesday, then they will take over processing the budget, conducting public hearings from provinces all over the country, so that South Africans are involved in this budget. And actually, some of these chairpersons and Fondo were saying that the postponement of the budget, this government of national unity, it's going to allow now, going forward, members of the public to play a more meaningful and effective role when it's public hearings before the budget is being approved by Parliament. He was saying that, for instance, the chairperson, Maimane, saying that when he took over the reins as the chairperson of the appropriations, he asked a question as to if it has ever happened that the appropriations committee makes amendment to the budget. And the answer he received was that it has never happened. If the Minister of Finance, when the Minister of Finance tables a budget, it is approved as it is. So we will see now how things are going to work out, considering that there are still, from the reports that are out there, saying that there is a proposal of VAT hike, although it is lower, the percentage is lower from the initial 2 percentage point. We will see how that is going to turn out, if all members of Parliament will support, because at the end of the day, this budget that is going to be tabled on Wednesday must be approved by Parliament.
One thing's for certain, at least when it comes to Mmusi Maimane's contributions, that the public now has shown greater interest in the budget, because for the first time, some of them, because of that postponement, they could locate themselves in that budget to say, this 2% is most certainly going to impact us, because a lot of people have been talking about that 2% VAT increase. So most certainly this time around, I think quite a lot of people will be watching with keen interest to see what exactly becomes those allocations. Will we see a VAT increase, or there'll be other ways in which government can raise that shortfall of 60 billion. But Lulama, thank you very much for that summation of today's briefing. That's SABC News reporter Lulama Matya, who was in Cape Town for us, just monitoring that briefing by the finance cluster in Parliament.